Thanks for coming to hear the word on the street. And dwell, dwell, dwell. What do we have here? I'm your dwell host, Vince. And he is amidst strange beings in a strange land. The flow of time itself is convoluted, with heroes centuries old phasing in and out. The very fabric wavers and reality shifts and obscures. There's no telling how much longer your world and mine may remain intact. But use this to summon one another as spirits, cross the gap between worlds, and engage in jolly cooperation. If only he could be so grossly incandescent. He is your solar host, Josh. You get that? Solar.
Yes, I enjoy how much more nerdy you are than me that you can come up with these things, because my brain does not go there. And the minute I hear you do them, I'm like, wow, I would have never thought of that.
Yeah, man, I'm just free associating. And dwell, it was just whatever. Just dwell. So what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you? How was your week?
I am phenomenal, and my week has been eminently okay.
Oh, just
no better, no worse than okay.
No worse. Well, it's always a good way to start the week.
Mm-hmm. How's about you brighten my week up with a little segment that I like to call Fun Fact with Josh?
Okay. Did you know that Canada is south of Detroit?
Parts of it, I'm sure. Surely not all of Canada.
We're going to find out.
Like Winnipeg is north of Detroit, right?
I don't know. Let's find out. Look, sometimes you just have to trust things.
What does it really mean to be south? You keep going around the world far enough and everything is south of everything else.
So there is a tiny, tiny, tiny little tip of Canada that stretches into the lakes in the water that goes below Detroit.
What? This seems unnecessarily complicated. You could just say that Canada is south of, like, I don't know, Maine.
Or Minneapolis.
Yeah. Okay. I liked that. That was
a good little get you to look at a map.
Yeah. Who needs
Who needs a map? That's what we have GPS for.
Yep, it's what we have GPS for.
These days don't know how to use landmarks to travel around places.
These ding dang kids. I'm gonna learn how to fold an actual physical map so that I can go on Ellen and prove her old ass wrong. I'm pretty sure she's long gone by now.
Back in my day, we had to tell people directions by saying, you know, that sign over there with the chicken across from it that only has one eye that blinks 3 times? Yeah, take a left at him. And then there's a guy named Hank wearing a yellow trench coat, and he'll take you to the Whopper lair.
If you see him, you've gone too far. All right. So we, Word on the Street, here, Josh and Vince, that's me. We each choose words, and then we talk about things based on those words. They come from Quirtle. That's how the intro always goes. I said it perfectly.
Spot on.
Yep. This week, Josh goes first. I'd like you to tell me what your word this week is. Today.
No.
Josh.
I refuse.
Fair enough. Roll credits.
This week I chose the word staff.
Like the infection?
Or like the magical scepter, that kind of thing. But neither of those.
Got it.
I saw that and made me kind of think about staff at a workplace, the employees or your coworkers. And I figured it'd be a nice little conversation to talk about some of our favorite coworkers, some of our favorite workplace stories, and what makes a workplace enjoyable to us.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. So, do you have off the top of your head a favorite coworker over the years? Somebody that you've worked with across all of your jobs that not necessarily that, like, you're best friends with them, or just somebody that, like, when you think about that place of employment, they were the one that, like, made it enjoyable to go there.
I did have this one boss that on my first day that I worked there gave me a copy of Parappa the Rapper.
Oh, he sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, he was okay most of the
Mm.
time. The problem is that when he sleeps, like he hangs his feet off the bed, and if you sleep in the little trundle bed that pulls out from under his bed, you get a face full of feet.
Face?
You get a feet full of face.
That would have been much more enjoyable for you if I hung my head over your feet.
I guess so. Why would that be more enjoyable?
Because then
for
you
me?
wouldn't have feet in your face.
I mean, to be fair, most of the time I was sleeping, so it didn't
Your
really
feet
matter
can't
that
smell my
feet were.
face. So it's not really a bad thing for me. But
Don't you tell me what I can.
Don't you tell me where my nose is. Nobody makes me sniff my own smells from other places.
I don't know, man. This is a tough question. Why don't you go first, and I'll think on this.
Mine, without a doubt, has to be Joe Biz.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
We both worked with a guy named Joe. We called him Joe Biz because
he worked at Showbiz
Video for an eon. And Joe is just the perfect mix of old boomer and funny kid.
Nah, he was a hippie.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's like boomer, hippie, funny kid.
Boomers are hippies, but still, like, he was I don't know, whatever. I guess late boomer, right? Like he's a hippie.
Oh yeah, 100%. But he was always fun to work with. He never knew what he was going to say. He was the type of person that...
But everything that he said was pristine.
It was pristine. And in most cases should have gotten him punched by the customer, but for some reason they loved him.
Yeah.
His filter was not so good, but...
He was just like, he's charismatic. Yeah. So like in the way that like small towns, people just say shit.
Yeah.
And everybody understands that everybody else is just going to say shit. And that means that you can too. He was like perfectly like tailor-made for a small town.
Yep.
Like living.
Yep. He was always a good time to work with. What... Do you have anybody besides Parappa the Rapper gift giver?
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody that we worked with at Replay was really cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think I have something like everywhere. Like I have a favorite person from like every job. So like I worked Summer Rec was my first job ever, and working there with Frank Murata was hilarious. Somebody that we both grew up around and went to school with, and it was just, I don't know, it was just super funny.
Oh, one of my cousins.
We had such a good time playing Pokemon Stadium and destroying little kids in dodgeball, kickball together.
Oh yeah.
Just
hey, did you see that they're re-releasing Pokemon Stadium for the Switch? Yeah, it's like I don't know what the service is, but it's like, and they're releasing N64 games, and Stadium and Stadium 2 are going to be among them. Also, 1080 Snowboarding, which nobody's talking about, but is one of the best N64 games. It is a very
good N64 game.
Yeah.
That, and you know what doesn't get a lot of love? Banjo-Kazooie. That was...
Oh, Banjo. You think it's a lot of love? I don't know.
Not overarching love. Yes, if you're bringing up that style of game, yeah, sure, somebody will bring that up. But like that overall is just one of the better games on N64. Like it was really well done and very fun.
Yeah, I think if you look up like, you know, best games in the N64, top 10 games on the N64, it's going to be on pretty much every list.
You know, it won't be Beetle Adventure Racing because that is a terrible game.
Yeah. End of sentence. Yeah, I think if I have to pick someone, I don't know, Volo just stands out to me.
Yeah, Volo is great.
our other friend Volo, he was a lot of fun to work with at Replay in Herkimer. And I really did like just miss working with him when they moved me out to Rome.
Yeah, he was always a good time. He still is. That was good. I talked to him last night. It was good. That was the first time I talked to him in like a month or so. So it was cool to...
Oh, shit. Did we say goodnight to him?
Oh, I don't think so. Good night, Volo.
Damn it. Good night, Volo.
Good night, Volo.
Yeah,
it reminds me of... what's that? why can't I think of that show? The Little House on the Prairie, or one of the they're
I don't
like,
know.
"Good night,
I know
Ma.
this.
Good
I
night,
know that.
Pa. Good night."
Yeah, I know the bit that you're talking about. I don't know the show is
Yes, one
from.
of those old people shows.
Yeah, he did that whole skit just on his own, saying goodnight to his
Yeah.
own friends, just every single one, and then collectively, and then individually once again, and then collectively
Yeah.
again. Then he left a little early, so he had to come back and say
And then
goodnight
he
some
had to
more.
type it to us to make sure that we could all still read.
Yep.
Checking in on our ability to understand things in
Yep.
a written format. So it's a really caring guy.
It was a good
And
time.
then I worked at Geno's after that. That was my next job, and boy, how I missed that place. I don't know. That one's a toss up. It's either Jared Kiola or this guy John Rocker that worked there. Or I don't know. That whole place was a riot, and that'll lead me into one of the funniest stories, which I know you know, but I'll tell for the sake of the show. When I worked there, and they bet me $20 that I wouldn't walk to Stewart's, which was across the street, saran wrapped, and try to buy something. So that I let them saran wrap me with the big roll of industrial saran wrap from head to toe, with just like my hands sticking out from my body as like little hooks, and had to waddle my way across to Stewart's and open the door, and then get somebody to cut through the plastic wrap to take my wallet out of my pocket and pay for the drink.
Damn, dude. We're lucky that TikTok didn't exist when we were younger.
Yeah. I mean, are we or aren't we? Because that would definitely be out there if we did.
No, we are. Okay, for every story like that, there's
10 bad ones.
9 stories that are equally cringeworthy.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah. I would just definitely probably I'd have to say Jared. He was just too funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really like make work friends.
Yeah, I enjoy sounds like a healthy habit.
Not like it's not like I don't like people that I work with. Like I like pretty much everybody that I've ever worked with, basically. I don't know. I don't really make like an outside connection with them. The one guy that I work with now that I do like quite a bit, and I have hung out with outside of work. His name is John, and we've just like he's just invited me over to like play some board games. So we played frig, I can never remember the name of the game, Apocalygeddon or something like that. It's like a really raunchy like deck building card drafting game where you play as like, I don't know, nasty wizards that do nasty stuff to each other, like use, I don't know, dragon's balls, and then make a wish. They get limp wands. Well, if you get both of the dragon's balls, it like provides defense, I think, or something like that. I don't remember exactly what all the cards do, but
you get, and then if you get the rest of them, the Shenron comes out.
No, there's only 2 dragon's balls. There's only one dragon. He's got 2 balls.
Oh, so it's Shenron's balls.
Yeah, it's Josh. It's dragon's nutsacks.
Oh, see, you just had to be more clear about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I am more of like a social butterfly when it comes to that stuff. Like, seem to always make.
Well, the thing is, like, you have had to move down south, so you kind of had to.
Yeah, but I've always done it.
Find friends in some.
I've always done it though. Like, I've always acquired new groups of friends throughout life. Like, when I was in college, I had a new group of friends from being there. When I was working at Bargain Outlet, I had people there that I was friends with. Then I started working at Replay, and I became friends with all of them. And then when I moved down south, obviously I had to make a whole new group of friends. And then made new friends when I moved back, and I started another job after that and made more. I don't know. I guess I'm a very big people person. Like, yeah,
I guess I'm not.
If I don't have people to talk to, it makes my day like miserable.
Oh, I've gone entire days without like talking.
Yeah, see, I don't know.
Like I get to work, I don't talk until I get home.
Feel like my brain is always thinking about different ways to ideate things, and like having coherent, in-depth conversations with people is just the best way to spark new thought. So like I'm constantly like trying to talk like about different things. So like for example, there's a guy that works in the radio side of where I work, and he's like the person I know the most that's into like hip hop, rap, and R&B. So I'm constantly like sharing video clips and stuff I find with him, trying to talk to him about it because I value his input on it. I want to see what he thinks about it. So I think I'm selective in what I talk to people about because I know what they like and I know what conversations will be good to have with them. But I don't know. I think that's honestly probably my number one skill. I was doing some reflecting and thinking about that, and I was like, I think the thing I'm the best at is people, if that makes sense.
It just sounds exhausting. Like I talked to one guy at work quite a bit, not John, a different guy, but like I talked to him about video games and board games and this and that, and then like one day it's Saturday, I'm just like I'm so tired, I'm like in a rut, so I'm just trying to like get in, get out, just do my job, and he hits me with the so I've been looking up what exactly fascism is. And I'm like, oh God, now I have to do this today?
Yeah, see, that just sounds like a miserable thing to talk about. Like, that's what I mean.
That's an exception. Like he's usually like, we have a lot in common. We actually talk to each other, but like that's the sort of thing I don't want to risk getting into a situation like that.
Yeah, I guess I'm just I don't know. I'm good at either avoiding those situations or people, or you know what? The big difference too is I'm always, most of the time, I'm the one starting the conversation. So like you only had that conversation because you let him bring the topic. Where it's like
I don't know how it came up. It was in the morning. I was tired. Maybe he started it just like fresh out the blue. Maybe I was talking about something that was just on his mind. I don't know how it happened, but it happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I've always just found people, and I actually have a lot of, I mean, obviously, so replay was the big part of everything because I'm still friends with the majority of the people that we worked with across 3 locations.
Yeah, they were all pretty chill dudes.
Yeah, I mean,
there's only like a few that I can't imagine I would ever want to talk to again. It's like Ziggy and Randy.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, you're right about those ones. I just didn't have anything in common with either one of them.
Mm-hmm. What, you didn't want to talk about flat brim hats all day?
I mean, maybe
with Ziggy or My Little Pony with Randy.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, what I would give to go back and just have 1 week of working at the store.
I know, right?
Like I don't want the pay that I was making. but if I could just like continue to get my pay and then work there for a week with everyone, I could do
1 week at that pay.
I could. I just wouldn't want to.
I couldn't do more than one.
Yeah. Oh, it was so good though.
But you know that if you went back, you would get all the like magically, right? Poof. We're in a different reality where you're still working at replay games. You know that would be the week that all the customers with problems come in and want the moon and the stars just because they can't connect a Wiimote to their Wii.
See, it gets to me a little bit, but I feel like that's what made me such a good people person. I was super young when I got put into a position of like power in quotation marks. Like being a manager of somewhere at like 20 years old was just really young. So like having to learn how to appease or refuse customers because when they ask to speak to the manager, you're the one that they have to talk to anyway. So you figure out ways to make your job less hard by just diffusing the situation. And I credit that a lot to why I feel like I'm so good at people and like, especially sales or those styles of things. Like it's a skill to be able to, it makes it sound scummy, but like size somebody up, you know what I mean? Like understand like what that is important to them and what is going to help solve the problem, what's going to make it better for them with causing the least amount of frustration for either you or your employer. So like it really made me get a hold of that quick, because people would act a fool sometimes. And I just had to deal with it. And then thank God I had that experience, because when you got down to working in a vape shop where you're dealing with people's addiction to nicotine, that's when the real asshats come out.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So having that experience under my belt of dealing with, people at their worst and how to diffuse that and how to appease them really helped. But I think it just helped me develop good business philosophies. It's like, even when I was working at the pizzeria, if you have to give away $50 worth of food for a $5 like fuck up, oh well, like it's worth it, because $50 is nothing. But if there are 10 people that they tell their bad experience to don't come in, all it takes is them spending $10 to make up for what you had to do to appease that other person. Like, I instilled that there really fast, because they would be like, oh, well, something would happen. We'd be in a rush on a Friday and somebody would mess up something. And I'd be like, oh, this person's on the phone and they're really upset. Their order got messed up. And like, they're just screaming at the other person on the phone. And they'd hand me the phone and I'd be like, look, I'm sorry that we had this problem happen. I remember when specifically this lady called. It was like 8:30 at night. We closed at 9. She had ordered like 6 subs. It was a good size order. I mean, our subs were big, and I think they were like, I don't know, $11.99 or something. But they were like 14-inch, like thick pizzeria style subs, not your little dinky subs you get at Subway or something. They had some meat and stuff on them, and 2 of her subs had gotten messed up, and she had come and picked them up. And I remember her like being really aggravated on the phone with one of the other employees, and they actually speak to the manager, which I wasn't like really the manager, but I was, I guess.
You just need to speak with someone else.
And I was like, I'm really sorry that this happened. And I tell you what, we will remake your subs for you and give me your address. And even though she had come and picked up her food, we remade her subs and I had them delivered to her for free of charge and completely diffused the situation. She had her other subs in 20 minutes. It cost us $15 of actual money, between paying the driver and what the actual ingredients of the subs were. And she was happy as could be.
See, people who don't learn that lesson end up like working for the furniture store that I had to deal with, Ruby Gordon. I will always name and shame them. But it was like I had to deal with so many people like in positions of power, and they didn't budge even a single inch. While I was dealing with them, like in the 2 weeks that I was dealing with them, like Nicole's grandparents needed a new couch, and they had bought from that store before and decided to not go back because of what they were doing to us. And I told them that. I told them the customer's name. I told them, you can look this up. You have cost yourself a sale. I don't know how much money you're trying to extract out of me. It's not going to make up for losing the sale. And they still didn't budge even a single inch for us. So like, we would have been repeat customers if they had just been like, hey.
See, the problem with that is those companies are so big.
It's 2 stores.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like, they're so out of touch with like the actual employee versus who runs it is so out of touch that they can't have that same freedom.
I talked with the top guy.
So like for me, I've always operated under the thing of know where my limit is and like how much money I can cost the company, but do it and then ask for forgiveness. Because like most of the time people in power, if it's not an absorbent amount where they're gonna like notice, they don't want to be bothered. But a lot of people are just a lot of people are just too afraid to act in that manner.
Nah, this dude wanted to cost his company as much money as possible. I took it all the way to the top. I couldn't possibly speak with anybody higher. I talked with the guy who did the delivery schedules, and he offered nothing in return. even after like the replacement came in and he ordered the unnecessary inspection and the other couch got, they finally scheduled the delivery. And I'm like, okay, at this point, you're going to just like move up the delivery schedule, right? No, they didn't do anything. This is what that guy did.
Yeah.
Like,
some places just suck.
I wasn't talking with just reps on the phone. I wasn't talking with a store manager. I was talking with like the delivery manager. Like if they have a C-suite, this dude was on the C-suite, and he just like didn't he wanted to waste as much time as possible. So
my only experience like that is when I bought the new washing machine that we have, and obviously it got delivered by Best Buy, and the date of delivery, we had a big snowstorm, and they messaged me and they're like, he calls the guys like, they're sending us home for the day because it's too bad for us to like go out and deliver stuff. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, I understand. And then rather than me be on the next day for delivery, I checked the thing and they bumped me to the end of the line because they already have delivery scheduled. And I'm like, I get it. You don't want to make the other people wait, but that's a little ridiculous. Like, then have a second crew to come in to fix, make up for the deliveries that you missed the day before. And I did the same thing where I couldn't get a hold of anyone high enough to fix my problem. And even the guy I talked to, like I called and I talked to like 6 different people, and like the guy at the warehouse was like willing to do it. He's like, I physically can't change it. Like, I don't even have the option in our computer system to move your date.
Yeah, see, I wish I got to anybody who was even that willing.
Yeah.
Like it's not that I didn't get to the point of talking to somebody who could have done something. The Ruby Gordon Furniture was unwilling to do anything. If you're listening, if you want to look up Ruby Gordon, Greece, New York on Google, and go ahead and like the review that I left.
Oh, I kind of want to see this now. Hold on.
Oh yeah, I had to I wrote a TLDR for it because I outlined everything that happened. I waited 9 months to write this review because I was so angry about the whole situation. I did not get less angry about it.
Yeah, you did. That's a nice one.
Yeah, man.
You'll be happy to know that upon checking it, there was one a week ago that was also terrible.
Good. Oh, I gotta go like that one.
You know what's funny though is they responded to the other person's thing. Nobody responded to yours.
Weird. I wonder why.
Oh, you got 6 likes though. I'll give you another one.
Good. Those are all my likes. I mean, all mine and Nicole's.
That's great. That's wonderful. Oh man. Yeah. Then I'm trying to think of some other. There's just so many good stories. Like I have memories of at Replay. I remember. You remember how indestructible Wii Fit boards were, or GameCubes? Like, I remember being at the Rome location and just having like a mountain of GameCubes and Wii Fit boards, and we made like climbing stairs out of them in the parking lot, and had Justin try to climb over them with his Jeep. And he made it over like 2 stacks of them, and none of them broke. Like, Wii Fit boards and GameCubes were supporting a Jeep.
Hell yeah.
That stuff was really fun. Or I'll never forget the day in Herkimer when Joe Biz was in the back and somebody asked for him. And I carried him out from the back under my arm. Like it was just like I was carrying a board out of a lumber store. Just holding him straight up in the air. Just come walking out the back door holding him under my arm. Person's just like, what? What are you doing? He's just talking to him, hanging sideways. Yeah. It was a good time. What do you think makes a workplace enjoyable for you? Like, is there criteria or things that make working somewhere easier for you?
I feel like I'm fairly easygoing about these things. Like, as long as a workplace is kind of easygoing, I'm fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the people who take work way too seriously have the ability to ruin it for me. Everybody's on the same team. Nobody wants to be there. Like, you're doing this thing because it's something that needs to be done. And like, maybe this would be different if I don't know, was a circus performer or like did something that like required a passion to do. But I don't want to do any of that stuff. If I don't want my interest to become my job. And so anywhere that I work, I just want it to be pretty chill. That's why I like my boss now. Like he's just good about sort of taking care of the workplace. Like I put in for some time off not that long ago, and Nicole was like, "Hey, did you remember to put in that time off?" I was like, "I think so, but I'll check," you know. And I like asked my boss about it, and he just looked at me and he's like, "Vin, have I ever messed up something like that?" I'm like, "No, you haven't. You're right. I was just trying to make sure. I'm sorry."
See, for me, it's all about the people. People are what can
Yeah.
ruin it for me. Things that drive me nuts at a workplace are lack of things to do. I would rather be pedal to the metal, like completely swamped, almost overwhelmed, than have nothing to do. So, like, I worked at Bargain Outlet for like a year and a half, and some days, like, we would have our big customer sales where people that had our cards got 25% off the store, and we would see every slumlord landlord that owned 73 apartment buildings in the Utica Rome area come in, and they would just max out their credit card, spend 25 grand just
buying all that
buying
paint.
every last vanity and cabinet that they needed to replace to fix up stuff or just update their things for as cheap as possible. 25% across that big of spending is huge. So
yeah, sure.
But a lot of the time it was just like monotonously bored. So I'd just be I can't stand tidy work. When employers want you to just do work to stay busy, it drives me insane. Be like, well, there's nothing to do, and I'd be like standing there. They'd be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, waiting for a customer to come in. We'll go straighten the shelves. You want me to go spin cans? Okay, but like in the grand scheme of things, not really helping. And that was the one thing that got me at my job in North Carolina. My boss had a very particular feeling about the windows. And being in a vape shop, they got very foggy pretty quickly because, vapor would just stick to them.
Just blowing them fat
clouds, yo. And he would be like, "What are you doing? Why go clean the windows?" And I'm like, "I already cleaned them today." He's like, "Well, I can't have you sitting around." I'm like, "What do you want me to do? It's not my fault that there's not a customer here. Like, I'm not going to go make imaginary things to do just so I could stay busy." Like, I just hate that idea. Nothing gets me more agitated than that style of work. Like, it's like being punished for being too good at your job. It's kind of the same thing. Like, I just don't like the whole argument for people that bill hourly versus like bill for a project. And it's like, well, why would I pay you that much? It only took you 10 minutes. Yet you pay me that much because it only took me 10 minutes. Like that same kind of feeling. Like, why should I be held back by being good at something? It's kind of the same thing. It's like, well, why should I be made do more work when I'm doing the job that I was hired for to the best of my ability? Like going and just doing busy work? Nah, that ain't it, dog.
Yeah. That seems like,
that's huge in a lot of places.
I am so willing, so ready to blame everything on management. Always. Like that is mismanagement. If you think that your employees are so unmotivated that you need to keep them busy every minute of every day, then you are bad at managing.
Well, that's my thing. It's like if it was I wouldn't mind staying. I would love staying busy every day if the things that you have me do have value.
Right. But like what I'm talking about is like the people who get upset when cashiers have stools.
Oh, no. I don't want to stand all day. Like, why should they? It literally makes no difference.
Yeah, exactly. The people who sit behind a desk all day are upset when people want to, sit for a minute waiting for the next customer.
I think the best thing any place has ever done is Aldi's having all their cashiers have the seats.
Yeah, Aldi's is a good employer. Benefits right from the bat. Yep. Competitive starting wages. You get to sit.
Yeah.
Like
I don't understand that. whole thing. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of places like that.
Yep. Yep. All right. What else you got for me?
I think that's probably it
Okay.
on the shorter side of topics this week, but it was genuine
Yeah.
and less
Is
less
genuine.
long-winded based on things that I had to look up or memorize. It was straight from
Yeah.
the heart. What about you?
Straight from the heart and from the bowels.
Actually,
Loose ends.
I
What do you got?
do
Loose ends?
actually. So this one's kind of cool. I don't know if you have been keeping up with this at all, but do you know what a beacon skiff is?
Yeah. It's an
Yeah,
orchard down in the southern
yeah,
tier,
it's
right?
just south of like Syracuse. They just
Mm-hmm.
announced an entire new brand called Heirloom, and they are one of the first. I think there's two, them and Oneida Indian Nation now.
Mm-hmm.
That are in the process of the Indian Nation, Oneida Indian Nation obviously is on the reservation, so they don't have to have the same clearance as everyone else. But yeah, Heirloom is going to be a 15,000 square foot manufacturing facility for cannabis. So they're taking their experience with growing apple trees
Neat.
and all the things that they do there, and taking it over into the cannabis world and starting that. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Seeing places start to sink into this, just good. It's good to see. I'm excited to see what it can do for the economy. Obviously, there's way more
I
money going to be in bigger locations, but I'm excited to see what it can do. The tax revenue can do in an area like we live in.
yeah. I guess I understand it for this application. But I started like in the middle of a thought. So Beacon Skiff is the same as 1911,
Mm-hmm.
the hard cider and
Yep.
distillery. I have never really understood why companies like this like make separate brands for these things. There's at least one like Finger Lakes winery that also does this thing. Three Brothers also manufactures Bombshell hard cider. And it's just I don't know if it's like tax reasons, if they're just establishing another like DBA or
Well, in this
what, but
situation, it's
I just
because of
wondered.
like any kind of blowback or liability.
Right.
So, they
Yeah.
can't have something blow up on the cannabis side. Like, say somebody majorly fucks up and they sell stuff they're not supposed to, or something happens. If they're separated completely, there's no way for anything to leak over into the other business that's already self-sustained.
Yeah. I guess I see value in taking a trusted brand and applying it to a different sector. Like if you called it 1911 cannabis, you know what you're getting. Like you're getting 1911 quality
I'm gonna
products,
s-
quality
I'm gonna
consistent
say there's
products. So like,
probably gonna be restrictions from doing it too. I don't
okay,
know for
sure.
sure, but the FDA and the other whatever cannabis coalition and stuff, I have a feeling are going to have some pretty strict like packaging and regulation rules. So they're probably just trying to avoid all of that, I would imagine. And also, there's a lot of people that still aren't okay with it. So I don't think it's so much. It's probably more so they don't want the cannabis associated with the other brand because they don't want to negatively affect,
Mm,
where it would take some digging or at least somebody to look up something.
we just need to collectively agree that whenever somebody is like negative about this because it's a gateway drug or whatever, we just need to collectively agree to just make fart noises with our mouths at these people until they stop talking.
It's funny. This actually reminds me of something that I was thinking about the other day. Have you seen the wet fart prank guy on TikTok? So
No?
there's this guy who just does like wet fart pranks. Right? He'll just be like walking by
Okay.
a group of
Yeah.
people and just
See, maybe I haven't seen this because I'm an adult with sophisticated
you're the one who
taste.
brought this up, so I doubt it.
I'm just saying, like farts
Exactly.
are funny.
That's what I've noticed. So I've been watching all of these,
I am entirely
and
consistent in this opinion.
there are people like you'll be watching the videos, right? And he'll just be like walking through a park and they'll just be like two random women with like the worst RBF you've ever seen, and he'll just like let a loud wet one go like right at him, like lift his leg and be like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom, and just and every
Ooh.
single one of them starts laughing. I don't think I've seen one where the people aren't giggling as they walk by. Like he's literally like
It's too
making
funny.
noises like he's shitting himself at him. Like I'm sure it's just playing on a speaker or something or whatever, but it's just, oh, everybody thinks farts are funny. Like, I don't know what it is about them, but every
Yeah.
single person I know thinks farts are funny.
Who is it? Is it? I can't remember the comedian that does it. It might be Jim Gaffigan. It's like farts are funny. They're little trumpet noises that come out of your butt. Like if you don't think that's funny, you're an idiot.
He's not wrong.
Like what kind of idiot do you have to be to not think that like coming out of someone's butt isn't funny?
And like they're even more funny because the pitch and like the sounds always change based on like the person, their
It's
position.
yeah, you know, scientists always say every fart is like a snowflake. It's unique. There's a different crystalline structure to each fart.
Oh man. And with that, we can move
And with that,
we can move on from this smelly situation.
little farts is the perfect transition into it's not actually the conversation that we were having is pretty well paired with my word,
Okay.
which is other.
Dun dun
Um,
dun.
I've been I don't know, on a sort of downward trend lately. Not to I don't know, I'm not throwing a pity party for myself or anything,
He is, don't
but
let him lie to you.
like I've just I oh shoot, I need to tell this mariachi band to go away. No, the party's canceled. The pity party's canceled. No, I just been like when I get like this, like I just get in my mind a lot and thinking way too much. And it's hard to get out of that. So I thought of other, and that started making me think about, like feeling out of place. I try to pick positive topics. This is risking getting into negativity area. So I want to preface this by saying, like, I am coming at this from a sort of self-awareness standpoint. Like, I'm not being like, why don't other people like me or anything like that. Like, this is all just like self-awareness because I've been noticing myself feeling this way quite a bit lately. Just feeling out of place. I don't think I'm like quite on the same wavelength as a lot of other people. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just, ships in the night or whatever. So I just want to sort of start off this conversation with, when have you felt the most out of place? I imagine for you, you've put yourself in a lot of situations where you're like big out of place. Like you moved like 1,000 miles away. So like, was it then? Was it just a situation?
It was a situation down there. Yeah. Like the minute I read this on the like episode like sheet that we have, I was like, oh,
you had an easy answer.
When I was living in North Carolina, went out to a couple bars with some friends, having a good time. And next thing I know, we end up at a strip club. And I have never felt more out of place in my life. I know that might sound weird to some people. I just didn't like it at all. I found myself feeling bad for a lot of the women that were up there. And it's like, I don't know, maybe some of them really enjoy their work and that's what they want to do. But it just, I don't know. Just feel like most of the time, how do I say this without offending anybody?
Circumstance brings a lot of people to sex work.
Well, you know what it is here is the best way I could put it. It's kind of the same way the stereotype is with like a lot of military people. The whole stereotype of people only join the military because they don't have anywhere else to go. I have that same kind of feeling for a lot of women that do like, stripping and stuff. I feel like there's some that absolutely love it. And like, that's really what they want to do. And that's cool. Like all for it. I have nothing against doing it. But like, I don't know. it just feels like a lot of them probably are doing it because they need to make ends meet, and that's something that they just happen to be, appealing physically to people, and it's
Sure.
something they can jump in, and if you are physically attractive, you can make a decent amount of money in a pretty quick amount of time, depending on your geographic location. Obviously, if you're in the middle of nowhere, you're not going to make as much as if you're in like a bigger city. But yeah, I don't know, dude. I felt so out of place, so weird, like sitting there and like watching it, and then they're like looking at you because they want you to give you money, and I'm like, I feel so bad. I want to give you money, but I don't want to give you money. It's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know, not for me. I'm sure there's plenty of people that
Sure.
enjoy it, but yeah, that was by far the most. Either that or at a Halloween party I went to, which is actually funny because that's another night that I ended up at a strip club.
Whoa.
Being with a group of people, and like, I don't know how much experience you have with this, probably a decent amount because of college. But like, you have your friend group, right? And then you go out with them somewhere, and then they have groups of friends, and there's like, just a bunch of acquaintances and friends all intermingling, and like
Yeah,
seeing
sure.
hard drugs come out
Ooh.
at like one of those
Yeah.
situations where like your friends are there, and then some of their acquaintances and friends are doing like, they're not smoking weed, they're doing some other stuff. Like,
Hmm.
that shit made me hella uncomfortable. I'm just like, that's just not me, not who I am.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm just like, you do you, whatever. I don't judge people for it. Like, if it's your life, you do what you want, but it's not for me. And like, just being around it made me uncomfortable. Especially because like
Yeah.
I'm at a random person's house on Halloween night, and I just see people doing blow off the countertop. It's-
Yeah, man. You got me on this one. I haven't been to a strip club. I've not had somebody just like take me to a strip club, and I
oh, I mean,
don't think I've ever been around someone just like
I've seen people do
doing
lines
lines.
in the bathroom at a strip club. I have seen people do lines off the center console of a truck. Like, it's,
Yeah,
I
I don't
really
got that.
realized how secluded our area is. Like growing up, like in comparison, like there's just not as much going on. It's just a smaller area. So it's like moving down
Yeah, sure.
into that. Like, I was kind of in between two bigger cities. Charlotte, and then Greensboro was bigger. So I was like in Winston, which is like not small by any means, but Winston's probably, I would say, like Syracuse size. If I
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
had to equate it. So it's like even in being in Syracuse and compared to where we live, like that would be the difference. It's like, man, you're just open to so many new things. There's just so many new people, and like you're around more people at once.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah, those would be the most like
Um,
out of place I would say I felt.
yeah, mine are much more innocent. I'm not a bad boy like
That's the
you.
thing. I'm not a
Not
bad
I'm
boy.
not
I
a
just find
not a
myself into those
worldly.
situations, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to be there.
Yeah. See, I just like feel like this one. I just gotta go do shit. Maybe like the maybe the most out of place that I ever felt has been like when I start a new hobby and there's like a very specialty store that I have to go to. You
Yeah.
know, like I think of like the lumber store. Like I felt out of place going to Lowe's the first time that I got like bought power tools, and then I took up this hobby that I like had to go to like a lumber store, and somebody just like, I don't know. Did you ever just get that look like when you go to a place that you can tell that basically everybody that goes there already knows what they're there
Yeah.
for,
But
and then the person there like looks at you like this person doesn't.
I think that's how it
I'm
comes
like, I just want some
across, but
help.
most of the time I think that's they just don't recognize
Yeah,
you. Like they know the other
yeah.
person.
This is for sure a thing that happens in our own heads that these people are not
Yeah.
projecting. Like, but yeah, I mean that's like it for me. I mean, I don't know, stuff like that. I've actually come to feel like that's useful.
Yeah.
I'm like just trying to do stuff that makes me a little uncomfortable more often. I hardly ever put myself in situations where I'm just like the odd one out, and especially when I get into like social situations, I'm like able to meld into social situations pretty
Yeah.
well. It's not like my choice, but I can pass
See, I feel like I'm kind of a
at a
chameleon.
sports party. Yeah, I think I am too. I'm just less willing to be than you are.
I just think I have so many broad interests that I can find common ground with people really fast.
Yeah, same.
So it ends up working out pretty well.
Yeah, if I need to talk about hand egg, I can talk about hand egg. But yeah. So when you do find yourself in these situations, maybe bring it back from like, these like extremely uncomfortable situations. If you're just like in a situation where you don't know people, you've gone someplace that you're not used to, you don't know where you are, don't know the protocol, whatever. How do you just sort of deal with those situations? Do you have techniques, or do you just sort of
Depends on the
let the flow take you?
situation. So like being, for example, Matt's wedding. Like
Okay, sure.
I think anybody that says they're not a little bit nervous when they have to get up in front of people and give a speech,
Mm.
and they tell you that there's no nerves, I think most people are lying.
See, some
Some
people
people thrive at it.
like legitimately
Yeah, some
love
people do.
doing
But
that.
I would say the majority don't.
Yeah.
So like that I knew was gonna bother me a little bit. And not so much because of the people. Like I'm fine with talking in front of people.
Right.
I had to basically my whole life because of working retail the majority of the time. Like after so long, you're just so used to talking to people, it doesn't really bother you anymore. It was more the feeling of letting that moment down. You know what I mean? Like you're responsible for a key traditional moment in somebody's special day, and not having it be good or memorable makes you overthink a lot. So in that situation, I just drank enough where I didn't think about it.
Yeah. Yes, the social lubricant can help in that situation.
That time it was that. But in most situations, I kind of just work through it in my head. So like, for example, this was one of the times that I really felt uncomfortable and had to work through it is when I was working through the vape shop and we had the e-liquid line and we were traveling to do the shows and stuff, promoting it. I was talking to all of these people via Instagram or Facebook or text messages or things, either stores or influencers or people that were involved with other brands and big in the space, and then like going to an event and meeting them and like walking up to somebody that has a million followers on Instagram and having them know who you are and like start talking to you. Like
sure.
It was really weird at first, you know what I mean? Like because like in my head I'm and I still am, I'm a fucking nobody. Like nothing special about me, but like I really felt out of place at first a lot. Like I'm going out to dinner with people that are running, like we went out to dinner in Miami with these people that had like 3 or 4 different people with us that had multi-million-dollar e-liquid businesses, and like I'm just sitting next to a millionaire chopping it up with him, and like that made me really uncomfortable at first because like I felt like I didn't belong in that circle of people, like a fraud. Like why am I here?
I mean, okay.
And like,
well, you had really early imposter syndrome.
Yeah, super early imposter syndrome.
Man, that's no bueno.
So like getting past that really opened things up for me, which was good because like I got that pretty early on, and then it wasn't so bad when I had to like we went to California for the huge show, and I'm friends with some of the people, and I'm up on stage doing giveaways and throwing merchandise out into the crowd. I'm standing on stage in front of a crowd of 50,000 people, just throwing merchandise, launching bottles of juice and plastic bottles and t-shirts and all different stuff into the crowds. Like I would have never been able to do that and not feel weird if I hadn't have gone through that so early. It's like it's such a such a weird feeling because I don't feel like I deserved any of the attention or deserve to be like not in the spotlight, but around the spotlight.
Sure. But I guess I've never actually like been in this situation, so I can intellectualize this a lot, but I probably will never have to put it into practice. Doesn't it enter at some point that these are just like different levels of nobodies? Like they're just nobodies that happen to find this or whatever. And I don't know. You're not like functionally different than these
No,
people,
but they feel bigger
right?
than you.
Like
It's like,
I guess.
eh,
I mean, no, I know. I don't know. I don't know how I would
it's like you're working.
react.
I don't know how to explain it in like your situation, because it's not like there's like people of fame
The
in the post office.
the super
Yeah,
mailman.
but like it'd be like if there was somebody that you really looked up to, or people on YouTube or whatever that do woodworking, and like you meet them, and then all of a sudden you're just in that group of people.
Okay, yeah,
It
sure.
feels weird. Like I didn't feel like I did anything to belong there. So it was just weird. And
Sure.
to like
Yeah.
to go from like small town Utica, New York, to going across the country to California, and going into these meetings, and up into these booths to talk with bigger companies and trying to make sales and deals and really just network with people. Like that was 90% of my job, was networking. So it was like I needed to do it, but it was
Right.
also like kind of off-putting, because I didn't feel like I was on that same level with people. But you get over that when
Yeah.
you're like forced into that situation. You have to find commonality and like find a way to take people off of pedestals. I would say that was the best thing that being in that situation taught me, is like there's a tendency for all humans to kind of, say, idolize people, but put people in certain statures or statuses, and label them, and keep them there. And I really don't do that anymore. Because of that
Yeah.
experience, I had to learn to just take every single person at face value when I'm face to face with them, and not let outside influence dictate my thoughts on people. And I tend to be that same way now on just about everything. I like to form my own opinions on just about anything. I don't really read a ton of reviews on
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, I will on some stuff, but especially when it comes to media, I'm not a review person. I think that stems from that. It's like I just like
Yeah.
I would rather spend my time and find out something sucks for the reasons that I think it sucks, than avoid something because somebody else didn't like it for something.
See, the thing about reviews, I feel like this is one of the things that like comes with sort of media literacy, is not every reviewer is for everybody.
Yeah.
In fact, every reviewer is not for everybody. So like it's a sort of balancing act of not taking, face value reviews of too many people, which is why something like Metacritic is not like an ideal indicator of quality, right?
Yeah.
But when you find I don't know, 2, 3 critics that you tend to align with in terms of their opinions and their analysis, like that's useful to have. You could look at, like, I listen to just like 2 video game podcasts, right? And there's whatever 7 people on those 2 podcasts between the 2 of them, and I'm like, when I'm looking into a game, or if I hear them both talking about a game, like it's useful to know what the difference in views is and what is positive and negative. But that's pretty exhausting for a lot of people.
Yeah.
To actually like hear that many opinions and sort through them and identify, do I agree with this person? Do I disagree with that person? Why do I, or why don't I?
So
It's
for me,
tough.
it just depends on, like, I guess, monetary value. Like if it's something that I have to spend a lot on to get the experience, yeah, I don't mind. But like most of the
Sure.
time, like TV shows or movies or games, they're so cheap. Like I'd rather just spend the time that I'm going to spend reviewing actually just making my own assumption of it. So like, yeah, if it's
Yeah.
$100, yeah, I'm not going to do that. But like most games are like what, 15, 10 to 15 to $40, unless it's like a AAA game. Which if it's a AAA
Sure.
game, you're buying it because you like it already. because it's a franchise, or you've already seen what you want because they've been advertising it all over the place. But most of the time, it's like, smaller indie games. And I'll use this for example. People hated New World, and if I had let everybody else's opinion, affect me trying that
Yeah.
game, I might have missed out on a game that I really enjoyed. Because let's be honest, in that situation, 90% of the internet was just shitting on it.
Well, yes and no. That's a weird situation, because what people were talking about in terms of why. Oh wait, no, I'm getting it mixed up with Lost Ark. We kind of played those games around the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I didn't actually hear all that much bad stuff about New World. I just heard that it didn't retain people, like,
and it didn't retain people because there was an echo chamber of people talking horribly about it. And that, I would honestly say, that's one of my biggest problems with people, is like people that can't express why they don't like something and they just say it's shit.
Well, that game, okay, my understanding of it, and I like wasn't in these echo chambers. I got like the echoes of the echoes from the outside, right? My understanding of it it just wasn't ready for the sort of fervent player base that it got.
I mean, it got slammed
right away, right? Like the servers got slammed, and that caused a lot of connectivity issues. But then after that settled and they were able to get the servers under their feet, like they weren't ready for the fervency of the players. Like MMO players are gonna power level. Got to have end game ready right away, and my understanding is that it didn't.
So
the end game wasn't there for people,
only 17% of people made it to end game. I looked at it. I was actually watching a video yesterday, and somebody looked. Okay, only 17.
By what definition?
17% of people made it to max level, which is end game. Like they made it to 60, and that's when end game starts. Only 17% of the player base made it to there. Most people quit before they hit level 40.
That seems high enough for the sort of player base that game got, right? Like it was.
Oh, it had like 900 and some thousand concurrent players, like the first thing. But yeah, I mean, it was literally, there's only like 2 big streamers that are on board for it, and unfortunately, that dictates a lot in today's day and age when you have all these.
I know.
Media personalities saying something's garbage and moving on to the next thing. Like it just becomes fact in that area, which is bad. Luckily, there was still 2 of the bigger personalities were fighting along with it. But yeah, that was that I had like 800 hours into
particular point,
and I loved it. But I loved it for other reasons.
Particular point, I think, leads me into my next piece of discussion. That's going to be what is the most recent situation in which you have felt out of place. I'll just go ahead and go first. It was last night.
Oh yeah?
Not for like a bad reason. I want to stress this again. It's not like a bad thing. It was just a sort of weird thing for me. So we played with a group of friends. We played Omega Strikers. It's a big game out right now from former
Riot devs.
Riot. Yeah. So, and it was very fun. I had a great time, but like the fact that there was a game like this that so many creators are behind, and like there's obviously a huge marketing push for this game, right? Like, and the fact that like I hadn't even come close to hearing about this game sort of highlighted to me like how far outside of like popular culture I am.
I don't think that's as bad as you think, because until Vinny told me about it, I didn't know about it either.
Yeah, but like Vinny is on the pulse.
Yeah, and normally I am too. Like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, unless you're, so I guess it would make more sense because you're more into obscure games and stuff. Like you and him have, I would say, more similar taste in gaming preferences than me and you, in some facet. Like, I'm normally more multiplayer, more like shooter, more fast-paced stuff for the most part. Whereas like you like things with a bunch of different mechanics and stuff, like Slay the Spire and things like that you've played. And Vinny's the same
Yeah.
way. He loves mechanics and things. So like,
I also watched him streaming that like
welcome to the
I
game.
can't even remember the name of it. Welcome to the game. It's such a there is no game title
Mhm.
ripoff. Like if they didn't just straight up rip off and try to gain traction based on there is no game, I would be amazed. But I like even watched that and I'm like, okay, I see the appeal of this for like streamers, and I'm sure that's how we heard about that game, but it's like seemed like a subpar
Yeah,
puzzle
I had
game.
never heard of it. And like
Yeah.
I'm kind of, but
Okay.
here's the thing: I'm not on
Yeah.
the pulse. Like I don't read Kotaku anymore. Don't look at Engadget. I don't
Right.
read any of those things. Like
Yeah, that's
I watch certain people on Twitch. I watch YouTube people, certain ones, and I have a pretty good tailored Twitter feed with like a mix
mhm.
between shit posting and people just rambling and like things that are cool and that I care about. People are normally talking about them. So, and I didn't hear
Yeah.
about it. So I wouldn't have played it if he didn't ask me to.
And again, to be fair, like it only released 5 days ago.
Yeah.
So
And I guess this was a good point too. So this is something that, you know, you're talking about like self-reflection and thinking about things.
yeah.
I normally I don't spread my wings in games much anymore. I'm kind of a, you know, you can find me playing a BR, you can find me playing an FPS game, you can find me playing Minecraft, and other than that, you're probably not going to find me playing anything. And Vinny's always asking me to play games with him, and 95% of the time
Yeah.
I say no. And he asked me to play this, and my initial thought in my head was absolutely fucking not. Why would I want to play that? But then, you know, I was laying there and I thinking to myself, you know, he always asks me to play games and I never want to play them with him. But in the same aspect, like I can never expect him to play the games that I'm playing if I'm not willing to give something that he wants to try a chance. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
decided to download it. And you know what? I actually enjoyed it. I will say playing on keyboard and mouse kind of sucked. I didn't enjoy it as much. I made the switch to controller.
Yeah.
It is way more fluid for me. I'm sure at higher level,
Yep.
mouse and keyboard is probably better. But trying to keep track of your mouse and your character at the same time, because they're both free flowing and moving, is a nightmare for me. It's like having my eyes going two different directions. Couldn't do it.
Yeah. I don't know, because you played Lost Ark, so you kind of did you play? Oh no, wait. What am I thinking about? You played Diablo. I'm surprised that it was taking you so.
No, because Diablo
Like
is
it
like
was.
you're clicking to move. You know what I mean? So this you're moving
Okay, sure,
WASD
yeah.
and you're aiming your like skill shots. So
Right. What was the ARPG that I'm thinking about that you moved with WASD
Mm.
and aimed with the mouse? There was one recently. It's not Lost Ark.
No,
I don't know. There's some ARPG recently that I thought that you
I
played.
could have.
I don't know. Maybe I
no,
dreamed
did
this
you play
because
V Rising?
it's not like V Rising.
I
That's the
didn't
one that
play
I'm
it.
thinking
Vinny
about.
played it a lot.
Oh, okay,
It
okay.
was one of the ones he wanted me to
For
play.
some reason, I thought that you played it.
No,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like
Yeah.
Diablo, you're clicking to move, whereas like this one, it's like you're moving with WASD and your mouse has complete free roam over the screen. So like you'll be running by a person or like running by the puck, and the puck's to your bottom left, and then you hit that, and then there's a person to your top right, and you swing over there to try to hit them, and then the puck is still at your bottom left, and like if you don't move back there because your mouse is now behind you end up shooting the puck the wrong direction. It's just so easy to get them mixed up, and part of it's probably that's probably a me problem. I'm sure not a lot of people have that issue, but it was so much easier to transition to controller.
It's a very specific issue.
I mean, it's just like having to watch separate things with each eye. Like,
yeah. It's like I said, it's very specific. I mean, specific to the game, not to you. Like I don't think there's another game where you really have to keep that sort of track of your player and your mouse at the same time. But I think the I will say, I don't know if I've told you this before. It's a little embarrassing because it's a little like I don't want it to sound like I'm blaming, but I think the thing that made me like gravitate towards single player games, especially in the past couple of years, is our experience with what was it, Path of Exile.
Mm,
Um, we played the hell out of it, right? Like
yeah.
we played a lot. Like we were basically at end game, and then some other, like, I'm moving at a slower pace than Vinny because Vinny plays a lot. Like he just has a higher tolerance for long sessions. Than I do. So even when I got to play for a long time, like I couldn't
Couldn't catch up.
just sort of physically. And then, yeah, I was trying to catch up. It took me a long time to catch up. And when I finally did, it was like by that time, Vinny and even you at that point, because you are able to play more than me, just circumstantially, like you guys were ready to move on. And I had sort of just gotten to the point, because that game is structured weird,
Yeah.
where like you can't really do co-op content, or it's not useful to do co-op content until very
Yeah.
late game. I had just gotten to that point, and then you and Vinny moved on, and I was like, that was like really disheartening for me. And ever since then, I've basically been playing like single player games.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
It's not, yeah, again, it's not like a bad thing, just on different wavelengths. And I felt that a lot, like last night playing with Volo and Pobega and Vinny. And it's like, I don't play with like Volo and them,
Yeah.
like his group very much. So I kind of always feel it whenever I get in a match with them. But like Vinny's still going hard, like game to game to game to game, power leveling, late gaming, basically everything. And I'm like, I just can't keep up. It's tiring just thinking about it.
Yeah.
But a nice, chill game that I could put 100 hours into, like Stardew Valley. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of the same way in Guild Wars, I would say, for us.
Yeah, sure.
Where I couldn't stick to it because I should have just made a new character, but I didn't want to make a new character. But that made me not, like, none of the content was interesting enough for me at that point.
Yeah. It's weird because I did stick with it for long enough to like get past that. That game is not super easy to get back into for like launch players like us. There's so much new stuff, so much has moved on that it's hard to latch on to any one thing. You almost have to. The only thing that kept me engaged is me starting and deciding immediately I wanted to do a late game thing. And then that forced me to figure out how to do it in today's Guild Wars.
See, I think I realized that the thing that attracts me to MMOs most is learning. I like learning a bunch of new things. So like starting into a fresh MMO is so entertaining and intriguing for me because there's so much to learn. And going back to Guild Wars, just I didn't have that same feeling. Like even though there was new stuff for me to do, it didn't give me that feeling. And I think that was a lot of the reason why I couldn't stick with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if there's like, I did get that feeling going back to it. So I wonder if there was some like barrier that you have to hit as a returning player before you realize like how much new stuff there is, because there really is like a ton.
There was, but there was like nothing I cared about doing.
Well, yeah, that's
and
what
that
I
was
mean,
the thing
though.
too.
Like,
it's okay. So the things that I would have cared about doing, you guys wouldn't have cared about doing. Like I
don't think that's true.
I would have had to go really hard, and I would have wanted to get into raids and do raids like consistently. Like that's the stuff that I enjoyed, and I didn't feel like that would be up your alley as much.
I mean, the thing about Guild Wars 2 is it's so mature now that there is a compelling reason to do everything. If that's what you needed to do, then I could have done that with you, because raids are how you get legendary armor.
Yeah.
Like I could have done that, but it's tough. Like, I don't know. I do tend toward, well, raids are PvE.
Yeah.
I tend toward PvE content,
Yeah, but
like
I
open
also,
world
here's the
content,
other
but
thing is, it would have been a long time coming to get to that point. You know what I mean? I didn't
yeah.
want to. Okay, this might sound weird, but not. No, it's a good thing. I didn't want my
Okay.
selfish desires for what I wanted in the game to impede on Nicole enjoying the game for her first time,
Hmm. Okay,
because
sure.
I did think it was important that like she enjoy that playing it with you, and I think she did substantially because she still plays it from what I know.
She
So
does.
that also was part of my thought process. Like I didn't want it would have either resulted in you playing on your main and not playing with her, or we wouldn't know it would have like rushed through the content like power leveler, which is not a good way to enjoy the game either.
Yeah.
And
I don't
I knew that's what it would be.
I don't think we were that far off on this. Like, again, it's just different wavelengths, right? Like you didn't make the wrong decision, we didn't make the wrong decision,
No.
but we weren't that far off. Like, we could have made it work because I leveled a character with
Yeah.
her, but as soon as she hit level 80, I switched to my main.
Yeah, but I'm saying by the time that happened, my interest was gone. Like there was
Yeah,
there was a
I guess
very
so.
small window of interest
Uh-huh.
for me, and
Sure.
it had already closed.
All
So it
right.
was like I would rather
Well,
have you guys enjoy that than like want to do that. And there was nobody else playing it, like nobody else that we knew. You know what I mean? And the thought
yeah,
of
right.
okay, so that's another thing. Like the thought of having to find people to do things with again in that game sounded
Hmm.
so treacherous.
It wasn't that
That
bad.
sounds like
We
so
we
much
played
work.
solo. No, we played solo for quite a while, and then like we're in guilds,
Yeah,
but like just in them.
yeah, I don't know. I just didn't.
It's not like you have this idea like a bad taste in your mouth from us running that guild in that
Yeah,
game.
no, I don't have a
Like
bad taste in it because we did it. Not having it there makes the rest of it feel weird. Like the
yeah,
game. I feel like my experience with the game was different than a lot of people's because I was running. I mean, at first a huge guild, and then afterwards a pretty serious one.
yeah.
It's
I
just
don't know.
like I don't know. It's almost like the game is less
It would
enjoyable
have
without that there.
it would have required a
Yeah.
recalibration, but I don't think it was. I don't think it's as extreme as you would have thought.
Yeah. Who knows? Me.
Just playing essentially solo, but whatever. I'm not trying to convince you of anything.
I mean,
I just.
yeah. I don't know. I just I couldn't.
It sounds like I keep trying to convince you that you're wrong about it.
Oh, I mean, there's no being right or wrong. Really, it was just
I
like
know.
I just couldn't keep my interest on it for one reason or another. You know, and it was like I was already wishy-washy on it. You know, like I
Sure.
struggled to go back to games. I really do. It's like I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know some people can go back and replay a game over and over and over again. It's not really my thing. Like even the only reason I'm playing Minecraft even now is because it's a completely new mod pack and I have to relearn everything. Which is I think why I like Minecraft. Like the base game of Minecraft, it's okay. But all these mod packs where it adds like a ton of different things that you can do and like
Sure.
works together and intermingles with each other. That's the stuff that excites me and keeps me going. It's the same thing with an MMO. And I think that's why New World was so appealing for me was that was also the thing too. Is didn't New World come out right after we had started trying to play Guild Wars as well?
Yes,
So
it did.
that was
Because
also a big
a lot
thing.
of the people who were still playing like Necrid and Plum moved over to New World.
That was also that was probably the big determining factor is like I was learning that. It was fresh.
Yeah. Oh, you were big into New World.
Oh, I loved it. I still do. I'm gonna go back.
The other
to
thing
it.
is,
Like,
yeah, that's the other thing is like I didn't blame you for moving on to a different MMO. Like it's newer, it's shinier. Like Guild Wars was the right choice for Nicole and I because I was familiar enough with it
it was
to
great.
give her a jump start. But yeah, like for someone like you that put however many 1,000 hours into it, hundreds of hours into it, it's like whatever, you're done, move on, and it's fine.
Oh yeah, I mean I had like 35
like 14
3,500.
That sounds.
About close to, yeah,
Yeah.
about 3,500 hours in Guild Wars.
Yeah, I have no reason to doubt you. You know what's on Steam now?
It is? Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably
They
really
moved
good.
it. Yep, they put it
I
on
wonder if you
Steam.
could see a spike in player base.
I don't know. It still had a pretty big, consistent player base. Like if you got on during like the high times of the day, like you could still see up to like 300,000 people
Yeah.
playing, which for a 12-year-old
That's
MMO,
huge.
300,000 like active daily players.
Yeah, I mean, New World's on an upward trend, and that one plummeted hard. Like
Yeah.
it was like 15,000 people still playing it. But it's on an upward trend. I mean, they're going like 30 to 40,000 now, and it keeps climbing. But they're in like new like expansion, I guess you would say. It's a whole new zone that's like massive, is being added in next month. So I'm probably gonna try to go back to that. The whole new leveling, like the whole leveling experience has been revamped, and so it's really weird because New World was a completely different game a year before it came out. So
Yeah,
like
right.
there was a lot of shortcomings in, they just copied and pasted towns and like assets all over the place. Like there wasn't a lot of variety. There was definitely a lot of quirks with it, but it had a really good foundation, and I loved it was one of the things I did a lot in Guild Wars too, like professions, gathering, and I have all of my own. I had like all of my like gathering professions and stuff leveled up. A bunch of my other specializations and stuff like armor smithing and cooking and everything maxed out. I love that stuff in games, and the environment was so immersive, like that was enough for me. Like nothing is more soothing to me, and it's the same thing why I'm playing Minecraft now. It's like putting on a YouTube video, like a podcast, an hour-long podcast, or a TV show on my left monitor, and then on my right monitor, mining for material I need in Minecraft or New World, running a loop for material gathering. Like,
yeah,
those things are so soothing for me, which I know is weird for a lot of people because it seems like monotonous things that people don't want to do. But for me, like, oh man, that's the stuff that I love.
Yeah. Guild Wars 2, it looks like this site, which I don't know how they calculate it, still has like 480,000 active daily players. It's wild.
That's pretty big.
MMO populations.
.com? Is that what you're looking at? Let's see here.
Yeah. So number 1, World of Warcraft, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, old school RuneScape, Warframe, Roblox.
Oh, so this is daily. You're looking at daily population.
Yeah, that's what it's ranked on.
Yeah. So New World's at like 270,000 right now.
It ain't bad.
And that's as of today. And then
what's total players?
How do I look at that?
It'll say like if you go into it, it'll say like rank total players, daily players.
Let's see here. Scrolling down. Maybe I'm rank. Oh, total players, estimated total players, 14.2 million.
Yeah, I don't know if I really believe this site, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, 270,000 daily. I mean that makes sense, I guess.
I don't get this. This up here says 981,000 daily players. Whatever. Inconclusive.
Yeah, no, those are wrong. Because like New World on Steam, which is where you're gonna play it, peak is 36,300. But if you go,
didn't New World have a standalone launcher?
No.
Oh no,
Lost Ark.
I'm getting it mixed. Yep, I'm getting mixed up with Lost Ark again.
So, but in July it was 13,000 players. So it's like almost tripled in the last couple months, and it's like steadily going up.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay, let's move on. I asked question. I answered the question. How about you, though? What is the most recent situation that you have felt out of place? And it doesn't have to be big, like you're watching, someone snort meth off of a stripper's ass or anything.
Yeah.
But
I think about this. When did I feel out of place?
It doesn't even necessarily have to be like long lived or anything, like a work event that you just sort of
Yeah, I'm just trying to think
didn't want to
of.
go to, or went to the like the I don't know,
Oh,
a Broadway show.
I would say like, so this example would be a friend's birthday party, and
Okay.
it was out at a local bar area, and it's like I know them, and I know like 3 other people there. Then there's like 70 other people there, and the 2 people that I know are bouncing around talking to everybody, and I'm just sitting there. And like it seems like
Mhm.
everybody else that's there knows each other, and there I am, just sitting there. I mean, granted, like I find people that either wedge my way into conversation based on what I'm hearing, or somebody will come up and start a conversation. But there was a good like 10 or 15 minutes where I was just like, maybe I should just go home, because like they haven't been
Yeah.
back around, and I don't know a single soul here. It's like I want to be here to support you for your birthday party, but not knowing anybody. It's kind of I can imagine. I equate it to probably the same feeling you had at my parents' anniversary party, like a little bit better because you knew
Okay,
some,
sure.
and you had Nicole with you. So it's like, even if you didn't know anybody, at least there's comfort in having somebody that you're there with, that like be together and talk to. So you're not like just sitting by yourself, but it's like you only knew like my parents, my sister, my cousin. I guess it's not actually quite the same, because you knew a handful of people. And
Right,
like
right.
we were pretty much sitting next to somebody you knew for the majority of the time.
Yeah, at least
But it's
Danny was
like,
there.
if you take Mason, myself, Dan, and my cousin out of it, like you wouldn't have known anybody.
Yeah,
And it's like that
exactly.
situation's gotta just be, it's just awkward, because like you're just sitting there, and it's like you want to be there to support people, but if you don't know anyone,
Yeah.
that's a big.
It's a weird situation.
Yeah, it's like almost like the same thing. Like I got invited to a wedding
Yep.
next year in North Carolina, and it's like
Mm.
I want to go to it, but at the same time, like the only people I know are the people getting married. I don't know the
Yeah,
families on
that's
either side.
tough. Wow, that's
Like,
tough. Weddings a big
yeah, like I have no connection
yeah.
to anyone there other than the bride and groom, and they're gonna be doing their own thing. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I'll be there, but fuck, that's gonna be.
Mhm. Yeah, that's gonna be a weird one.
Yeah.
But best of
Joy.
luck.
So yeah, I guess, did I answer it? I think I answered it right.
Yeah, friend's birthday
Yeah,
party.
that's gotta
Where you didn't know anyone.
that's gotta be my
Yeah.
my best one.
Yeah, that works.
And I also think,
Um
I feel a little bit out of place at the beginning of just about everything, if that makes sense. So
sure,
like
yeah. Yeah.
every
I
every
feel that.
time we start a game night at your house, I feel a little bit out of place, because like you guys are there every week doing it, and it's like I have to get my footing into it. It's not the
Yeah,
it's like kind of, it's something you
yeah.
guys do consistently feels normal, but for me it's different.
Yeah.
So like
Well,
getting a footing
yeah.
for it, and like, you guys play your games,
We
you already know the games, like it goes a specific.
I mean, believe me, we are always like figuring out new things about the games that we play. Like we play very complex games that, you're not gonna be out of place for not
Yeah.
knowing. We also have so many that we like don't play a particular one very often. Like we have a couple favorites,
Yeah.
but in general, we either pick one that we're comfortable enough walking you through, or any new person. We've had a few like
Yeah.
less experienced people come over. Like we pick one that we're comfortable enough walking people through, or one that's just easy enough to sort of
So,
like a party game
yeah.
type
I
thing.
think it's every
Uh,
situation where you're with like a
yeah,
friend or a group of friends, and then there's other like groups of friends that you know intermingling.
yeah, sure.
It's like you gotta get your bearings for the situation.
Yeah,
Over
board
it.
games are tough too, because like you grow up, you're familiar with, Risk is the most complex board game that you could think of. And we're playing much different games.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely much.
But
I just think it's scenarios like that in
just have
general.
to, you just have to sort of give in to it. Next time you come, like maybe we'll play a game that none of us are familiar with. So we'll all be on even
I don't even
footing.
mean that. It's just like the whole constructed game night. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I get what you mean.
Thing. So like I have to feel in my head, I'm like, okay, like I got to get into that mind space, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I get it. Okay. I guess those were your last thoughts. Any last thoughts?
Not that I can think of.
Cool.
I think this is a pretty productive episode. Do you have any loose ends to go over with us?
I almost got hit by a tree.
What?
A tree branch.
Like you or your vehicle or
all of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop this picture in the Discord channel for this episode. Nope, that's not. There we go. So there, that picture. So I'm driving along this road. The way my route sort of works, I get done like with my walking section. I drive up this road, and there's one box on this road that I stop at. So I'm driving up almost to the box, and all of a sudden, like a cable comes down on the side of the road next to me. I'm like, man, that's weird. Like, it's storming. Like, it's kind of windy, but, this road just got paved. So the people who put these, cables back up must have done a shoddy job.
Yeah.
I look back in my rear view mirror, and that branch is laying in the road, and that's what took the cable up. I'm like, okay, I see where it's laying. I know where I was when that cable came down.
Yeah, you were just like right there.
I could not have been more than 20 feet past that branch.
Jesus.
Yeah. I checked my truck afterwards because I kind of expected that it
grazed it or something.
Branches would have grazed it. But no, I was past it, but yeah. So that was my little thing.
Wow.
I had I've been stressed lately. Had a nice productive weekend where I got to hang out, did some work around the house, got to relax.
Oh, that's good.
Really de-stress. And then Monday comes and that happens, and then I'm all stressed again. So
hey, wouldn't be a work week unless you were, right?
Yep. So that was fun.
Good.
Yeah, it's my loose end. I've been trying to I don't know. This is the type of situation where it's negative how I sort of behave. Like I said, I don't have friends at work. So that happens. I just work the rest of the day, and I don't really have anybody to, say anything to about it. I get back and, there's nobody really around. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm just going home.
I just think you're so used to.
I don't have anybody to commiserate.
I just think you're so used to not talking to people that you don't.
No, my job is not conducive.
Oh no, I don't mean it just at work. I just mean in general. Like this happened 3 days ago. you could have called me and been like, I almost died, but you just I don't think you didn't care.
I mean, I
didn't care enough about it.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? You did now, but I'm saying it wasn't
I saved it for the content.
Yeah, for the content. No, you know what I'm saying? You would,
I do, yeah. I mean, it's not like something that I was hiding or anything.
No, I was just saying it didn't matter enough to
that's kind of
somebody.
Another thing that's kind of another thing that I've been feeling weird about. I'm so stressed that my ability to cope with just things means that big things and little things all feel the same to me. I got equally annoyed at somebody who ran a stop sign that day than I did about almost getting hit with a tree branch. You know, I'm just in sort of a weird headspace lately, and that's also messing with me. Also leading to my stress. That's okay. I got a week off coming up.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, I'm getting my wisdom teeth out, and then I'm getting a mole cut out. And
fun!
It's a week of recovery for both of those. So I'm taking a week off.
Yeah. You're
On sick leave. Didn't even have to use vacation.
gonna be in pudding for a week.
Eating pudding. Pudding and smoothies and mashed potatoes.
Yep. I don't miss
And
that.
yeah, that's all I got.
Well, twas a good talk, but
Yes. Until the next time we speak. Good day, sir.
yes, take over past us.
Thank you and congratulations for making it to the end of this episode of Cord on the Street. We have been your hosts, Vince and Josh. You can find us on our socials. You can find us on Twitter at Cord on the Street, QUORD on the ST. If you're listening to us on YouTube /Cord on the Street, go ahead, like, subscribe, and comment. And wherever you're listening to us, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you can leave a review, please leave us a review. If you tell us what we can do worse, I promise I will read it on the podcast unless it's just too mean.
If you have any need to contact us in a longer format, you can email us at cordonthestreet@gmail.com, or you can visit us on our website, cordonthestreet.xyz. Feel free to leave us a voice message on there. If you want to reach out to us individually, you can get a hold of us at our personal Twitters. Mine is at I'm Scuzzy, IMSKUZZEY.
And I am at V_C, spell out the underscore. We would finally like to acknowledge the people that made this podcast happen. Josh Wardle, who is the original creator of Wordle.
And Freddie Meyer, the creator of Quordle, who you can find on Twitter at Quordle.
And with that, we will just ask you, as always, to
Get the cord out.